Hey guys, hope that you are doing well. My name is Vojislav Dragovic, and it is pleasure of mine to present to you Player Hunter Talks podcast, where we will be discussing the most relevant football topics with industry experts. This podcast has been brought to you by Player Hunter and SmrtStats. Player Hunter transfer platform is the first and only free-to-use transfer execution platform that easily connects agents and their players with adequate club requests from all over the world with the help of our smart matching system. You only need to create yourself an agent account on Player Hunter mobile app and list your players and wait for the available opportunities. You can find the download link to Player Hunter app in the description of this video. Also, if you are looking for a new performance analysis and video scouting platform, SmrtStats is helping you to make the smartest choice. Currently, there is a promotional pricing for the agents and agencies, and the prices per year are starting from 1,500 euros per one account. So in case that you would like to explore unlimited alternatives to the existing scouting platforms, feel free to reach us out also via contact channels that are in the description of this video. This is the starting season of Player Hunter Talks podcast, and today I have a pleasure to speak with Mr. Mariusz Mowlik, owner at 11 Football Players Football Agency. First of all, Mariusz, thank you very much for joining Player Hunter Talks, and how are you doing?
Hi, Vojislav. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm doing very well. It's a bit off season for the agents because it's the transfer window is is currently over, but it's still a lot of work preparing for the winter time.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Same here. So the first question that I wanted to ask you, how did you become? We know that you had a significant career as a football player. So how did you become interested in becoming also a football agent? And let's say what inspired you to pursue this career?
Oh, yeah, it could be a long answer. Like you mentioned, I was a football player in the past, but I have to start from the beginning. Football has been in my life since I was a little kid. My father was an amazing player in the 70s and 80s in Poland. He's a big inspiration for me. So looking at his career, he was playing in the top clubs in Poland. He won the Polish Cup with Legia Warsaw. He won the Polish Championship with Lech Poznań, the Polish Cup with Lech Poznań. He had an amazing international career, playing for the Polish national team, winning a silver medal at the Olympics in Montreal. Uh, also, he was in the Poland '82 World Cup squad, which finished third in that World Cup. So that was an amazing career, and I always wanted to go by his path and become a professional player. Uh, I chose a slightly different road because I was a defender. He was a goalkeeper, and I was a defender. But still, my main goal was to become as good as he was in that time. So unfortunately, it didn't work. I did have I have to say a successful player career. I played in the top division in Poland. I also won the Polish Cup. I had the opportunity to an honor to represent my country in a friendly game against the United States. So when my career was on a certain stage, like I was about 30 years old, I got an offer to become a sporting director in a Polish club, and that was the time that I was like thinking, what will I do after I play? So this came a bit early because I was 30 and I still thought that I can play like maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 more years on a professional level. But I decided to take that chance. I thought that was an amazing opportunity for me to learn about football from a different perspective, from a perspective of working inside of the club. Because as a football player, everything is prepared for you. You go to training, you just follow orders, and when you work on the other side, it's completely different. And I started to learn about football from a whole new level. And I use that experience now as a football agent after 6 years in the club as a sporting director. My contract expired, so when that happened, my close friend Adrian, we spoke about opening an agency and using all our experience from our playing career and opening a sport agency that could help players develop and move on in their career. So that's how I started in the industry, and it's been now 5 years since we started.
Got it, got it. Thank you for detailed answer. What I also wanted to ask you, because there is always how can I say, let's say misunderstanding when it comes to the people that are only a football fans, and they imagine the let's say lifestyle of sports agents or football agents at the end of the day as something quite different than it's actually is. So I wanted to ask you, can you describe some, let's say, primary responsibilities? You already mentioned some of them on your first answer, but some primary responsibilities of football agents and their role that you actually play in your clients' careers, for the people that do not understand it quite well, of course.
Oh, of course. Everybody thinks that it's just we get a part of the salary of the player, and that's our job. Though no, no,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's a lot more. As agents, of course, contract negotiations with clubs, with federations. That's one of our main things. But in today's football marketing, maybe I'll say about marketing at the end. But of course, for players, very important today is financial planning. Maybe I'm not a financial specialist. My specialty is career planning, but I work with people. I have to say about my agency. My agency is now, we started 5 years ago. It was just me and Adrian at the beginning, but our agency grew so fast, and it was like completely going on an amazing level forward. So we decided to put more people in there, and we mainly work with people that were professional players in the past in our agency. So the understanding of what a player feels and what a player needs is I think a little better. Maybe it's not a crucial fact, but it definitely helps us to understand on which stage of the career the player is at a certain time. But regarding the financial planning and the career guidance, the career guidance is very important for us to understand the player's needs on a certain level during his career. In for example, in my career, I had several agents when I was a player, and I know which mistakes they made with me during my career. So it's a lot easier for me to now avoid those mistakes with my players. Those are small details, but at the end, the small details can decide if the player succeeds in a certain club or does not. So that's definitely helpful. So like I said, career guidance, of course, legal support, because not always everything is going well. Sometimes clubs don't pay on time. Sometimes a player has some dispute or disciplinary action. So we're also there for them, and we try to help them during their contract. And what I said about marketing, this is my personal opinion. Not everybody has to agree with it. Maybe football is still a team sport, but the individual branding is a key factor at the moment. And you can see, like Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, they build a global brand. And I have a lot of friends, and also myself. I stopped at a certain level. I stopped supporting certain teams. I started searching for players that I like, and of course now I support all my clients. But on a certain level, you just stop supporting a team and you start looking for players that you really like. And I live in the Middle East at the moment, and uh, I see many kids running around in Al Nassr shirts of Cristiano Ronaldo, or even the Lionel Messi shirts of Inter Miami. And I can guarantee you that their families, they never were even in maybe not even an Inter Miami game or Al Nassr game. So yeah, but personal branding is something that is growing very fast. So I'm sure that this is one of the key factors that it's going to grow for sure. And football agents also have to take care of these things.
Absolutely agree on that one. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's quite similar to the other industries, not only in football, because it at some point it became as important as the, let's say, the core itself of that particular area of work. But
Yeah, exactly.
if we are speaking about that that side, let's say, of the medal, that you were more focused on what do players need and what kind of support they can get. On the other hand, how do you actually look for the potential clients, and which factors do you consider when you decide would you represent that particular player? Because don't get me wrong, I know that many of them are coming directly to you without necessarily you that you actually need even to watch for them, but I guess it's a two-way street. So what kind of uh, factors do you consider? Because I know for sure that it's not just a statistical data, for example, or something like that.
No, of course, statistics and data analysis is very important. It's very much growing also,
Yeah.
and it's playing an important role in every club. But of course, talent and potential. That's the first thing that we look, especially when we start with looking for minors, and we look at players that are at a certain age when they're 14, 15. The talent and potential is also a key factor. Um, but you have to understand that when a player is like 15 or 16, he can be talented. He can have lower potential than players his age, but also work ethic is very important, and professionalism, and also personality. Because at this time, like I'm speaking about a player being marketable on a certain level, he has to have a certain personality, and the personality has to be loved by fans. So we're also searching for those factors, and also sometimes even specific needs. Like we speak directly to clubs, and clubs are searching for a specific position, and we also try to help them finding the right profile. That's one thing that I really like in my job. I like to profile players, and I like to guide them throughout their career. And in many situations, like we represent players that are, for example, now 16, 17, 18 years old, and we know about their potential. We see their potential, but uh, also fans have to understand. Not only fans, but also clubs. Not every player fits to a certain club. He can be the best player in the world on his position, but his profile maybe doesn't fit to that exact club. And what I like to do is I like to profile the player, and I like to search for a potential club that fits his needs, what he how he plays, how his playing philosophy is, and his background, of course, because that's also an important factor. So maybe like I said, talent, professionalism, work ethic, potential, and personality are very important in searching for potential clients.
Got it. And you actually gave me one quite good intro right now. You mentioned that you are, even if he's the best football player on the world, it doesn't necessarily mean that he can fit in some particular club. So can you share to us some insights into some, let's say, ethical consideration? When I say ethical, it is, or as usual, it's always that you need to decide between the, like a financial aspect, not only for you, of course, but for your client as well, and besides the fact that he will play or not, and challenges that you encounter while representing those players.
Oh, of course. It's our key client is Przemysław Frankowski from Lens. He had an amazing season in France. Now he's playing in the Champions League. He's playing very well in the Champions League. He already has 2 assists in his group stage in 3 games. So we started working with him when he was I think 22 or 23. In 23, because that's like our first client. So he's 28 at the moment. He was in Poland in Jagiellonia Białystok. He was playing as a winger at that time. Currently, he's playing as a wing back in Lens, and he's playing either on the right side or on the left side. When you speak to people in Poland about him 5 years ago, everybody would say like he's just a winger running straight on the line. He's very fast. So his key role in every team would just to go play, get a ball behind the line, cross, and that's his job. When you see the way he adapted to the intensity of France, and see the way he improved throughout the years, he's a completely different player. And I think the key role in the way he developed is the way we chose his path of career. From Jagiellonia, of course, many players from Poland really would like to go to the top 5 leagues. That's like their goal all the time. What they don't understand that they're not ready to go directly from Poland to the top 5 league. Um, I like statistics, and I like comparing other players to my clients, and I can see that maybe 90% of the players that leave Poland to a top 5 league have a very hard first year. They have the intensity of the Polish league. Okay, the Polish league is broadcasted amazingly. The TV is doing an amazing job. The stadiums are great, but you have to understand that the intensity of the league is very low. And if you compare it to a top 5 league like France, Italy, Germany, Spain is completely not for Polish players. Or maybe if you're Lewandowski, of course, then you can adapt in Spain. But Polish players cannot adapt in Spain. It's a very hard region for us. Or even the Premier League, it's impossible to play. Go there and play directly from the start every weekend. So we chose a path. Although we had offers from top 5 leagues, we chose the path to go first to the MLS. Uh, as a 23-year-old, he went to the MLS, and everybody's saying, "No, it's impossible. It's a league for retired players. Why are you choosing this path?" And we knew that the MLS, in terms of intensity, is a better league than the Polish league. Maybe tactically, it's a little sore, and okay, I understand it's growing every year, but at that time it was tactically a little lower than most leagues. But the intensity is amazing in the MLS, and we knew that if Frankowski has good players around him, he can grow and he can develop and he can play, and he can be ready for the top 5 leagues in 2 3 years. And actually, that's what happened. He went to the MLS. He played there for 2.5 years, and after that, he came back to Europe, to France. His first year in France was amazing as a wingback. He scored 6 goals, had 5 or 6 assists. Uh, Last season, they finished second, just 1 point behind Paris Saint-Germain. At the end, they qualified for the Champions League. Now he's playing in the Champions League. But what I'm saying is, when we started working with him, he understood how he can grow step by step, not just going for the money, the first better offer, but slowly building his career. And of course, the finances in Turkey, in Italy, in Russia at that time, in Germany were higher. Where the financial aspect of the contract was a lot higher. But we knew that if he's playing on a regular basis every week in a league like MLS, he can be ready for a top 5 league. Um, that's one thing that I like to talk about with players, and their understanding that their career is like 12, 15 years, and you have to go step by step. You cannot make 3 4 steps ahead, and sooner or later you're gonna go back, and from going back to going back up, it's very hard. So we prefer to make it step by step.
Absolutely, and for sure, we know many of them that actually chose the other path, and eventually, yeah, they made a mistake. Maybe not in that particular moment when they signed a check or something, but eventually for their career, it was definitely not a good choice.
Let me just add,
Yeah,
that's the understanding that I have. I know that a
yeah,
player from my playing career, is happy. She's training from Monday to Friday to play the game on the weekend. If he doesn't play the game on the weekend, he's frustrated, and everything around is frustrating. His family is frustrated. He's frustrated. You don't look at the bank account on the weekend. You look,
absolutely.
and you have to feel tired on a Saturday. And the worst feeling for every player is the Sunday training session, and either you're in the group that has recovery or you have an extra session. And if you're the group of that extra session, that's the worst feeling a football player can have. So I understand that, and that's why I always tell the players, enjoy your time, enjoy the time you're playing, and make right decisions. So every weekend you're not in the group that has an extra session. You're in the recovery group, because that's the only way you're going to be happy. And if you play on a regular basis in your career, then the money will come. That's obvious. And if you're playing on a regular basis, the contracts are going to get always better. If you don't play, there's no chance you're going to get a better contract.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. Um, you mentioned something quite interesting, which is the MLS, and you did a little bit of a comparison between the a couple of years ago and now. Back then, everybody was speaking that exactly your words, the retirement plan or retirement heaven, a country or league. But definitely, we are looking at something different these days when it comes to the MLS and the whole North America, and of course, a lot of that is related to the fact that they are quite quickly developing, but on many aspects, not only on the MLS, but also these lower leagues over there and affiliate clubs of the ones in MLS. So how do you stay up to date with that? Let's say constantly evolving sport industry, including not only, of course, these markets that are changing quite fast, but also with the statistics, with these new stats providers, and that makes on one hand job to everyone a bit, let's say, no, a lot easier, but on the other hand, actually some of the things that I'm right now telling you, because I spoke with many people that have some minuses and plus or pros and cons on these things. So how do you, let's say, stay up to date? When I say you, I mean the agency, because I know that you are uh, one of the biggest agency when it comes to the not only the number of players but only the number of executed transfers per each year in the last couple of years. So I know that there is a plenty of work to do because let's face it, I mean it's limited number of you guys over there, and definitely the number of your players are growing day by day, and you need to combine these things in order to be on point, let's say.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like you said, it's been an amazing journey so far for us. We were established in 2018, and in the last 3 years, our agency was for 3 consecutive years in the top 20 of transfer market rankings for agencies with most transfer deals made in the summer transfer window. So uh, when I look at that and I see the agencies that have been in the industries for 20, 30 years even, and us, a young agency, that's amazing, and that's proof that we're on the right path. And of course, we still understand we constantly we have to grow. We have to be up to date with everything that's happening in the industry and in football. And so we use many platforms. We use InstatScout, which currently is already finished, but we use a Y Scout. We have one coach that is in our agency that is typically for player analysis, so that helps us a lot with when we try to profile a player. Uh, but honestly, everything is on online. Everything is on the network, and I watch a lot of games, and especially I like to watch games like in regions that are maybe not scouted so well by clubs. And I will look at the leagues in Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and even lower divisions in the United States. Like you said, it's also growing. The way the Americans work with the youth is amazing, and now with Messi and Inter Miami and the boost for soccer or football, like we Europeans call it, it's growing, and it's an amazing way. So yeah, like I said, we use some platforms like Scout at the moment, and the coach that is working on analysis, and also everything that is online that we search for data, expected goals, expected assists. So when we search for a specific client, and we sometimes want to have proof that the client is doing well or is doing his job. So sometimes fans like they just look at the statistic goal or assist, and
Yes.
that's for them. That's the most important thing. And when we made, for example, when we made the transfer of Frankowski to from Chicago Fire to Lens, Lens told us that it's not about the stats about Frankie and his assists. It's the way he plays. It's the way he creates chances, and his expected assists was on a high level, and they were searching for a typical profile, and you can see that he fits perfectly to the style of play of the team, and he's doing well. So that's the future. For, of course, in my opinion, you can't only rely on numbers and just stats, because, like I said, work ethic, professionalism is also a key factor. But analysis can help in making some decisions in football.
Absolutely. And tell me, please, Mariusz, what challenges do you face when you guys are dealing with athletes in injury recovery or retirement planning? Even though you already mentioned a thing or two regarding that, so what would be your approach? I mean, we don't expect from you to unlock us your know-hows or how-tos, but just in order to see the bigger picture, how you are dealing with these, let's face it, difficult situations, especially when it comes to these injuries that this football these days is, I would say, at least from my point of view, a bit more intense, a bit more, let's say, it's a different than it was when I was kid, for example, or where you were playing. So definitely these injuries and it happens more often. I would say that injury can stop not only that particular injury, but also that recovery phase that the
Exactly.
player needs to mentally also overcome those obstacles in order to move forward.
No, definitely, I agree. Uh, as you see, there's a lot more money in football nowadays,
Mm.
and everybody expects all the players will play every game full 90 minutes, and that's impossible. And the players also have to understand that recovery is very important. Um, Unfortunately, injuries happen, and then they need full support of the agents and the agencies. Our role is it's everywhere around the world is different, and sometimes clubs take full 100%. They take care of the player on 100% level. Um, Sometimes they say the player has to take care of himself. This is one thing that happened to me during my career, and this was one of the mistakes my agent made with me. And I know now how I am supposed to react as an agent. Let me just make a small recap. I was a player in Greece at that time. I signed a contract at the last day of the transfer window in January. Actually, there are two things that I learned from this situation. Uh, Let me just start. I signed a contract with a Greek club in the Super League in 2007 on the last day of the transfer window on the 31st of January. And after 3 weeks, I got injured. I had to have a knee operation. I had torn cruciate ligaments, and I was out for like 6 8 months. I just signed a 3-year contract. 3 weeks later, I'm injured and out for the entire season. And what happened? My agent called me and said, "Listen, I have a great relationship at the club. The best situation would be if you just like terminate your contract and you just go back to Poland, make an operation there, get a recovery, go to rehab, and you're going to be ready in 6 8 months. And it's just take care of yourself." And I said, "Listen, I have a contract with the club, a 3-year deal. It's the club's responsibility." And that was like the first time I understood that the agent did not take my side. And as an agent today, I know that whatever happens, I have to fully support my client. And no matter what relationship I have with the club, I represent the player, and I always will, and I always will support him. So that's like the one thing. The second thing that I learned from the situation is like maybe not completely injury related, but still it happens. I finished the season I was in Austria before, and I finished the season in November, and there was like 6 weeks. It was like without any games, without any training. Preseason in Austria started in January, so I just had preseason like 2 3 weeks, and I was like 6 weeks without any professional training. I was just taking care of myself, and I went to a league that was like playing every week because the Greek league doesn't have a winter break. So now when I look at my clients, I know that it's for me it's impossible to make a transfer when a player is not fully fit and fully ready to go directly in a league that is playing. So that's two things that I've learned, and it's very important. but these are the details. These are the small details, because every player, to produce on the field and give his 100% best, he has to be fully fit. If you don't have a good preseason, if you're not 100% fit, it's impossible to produce anything on the football pitch. No matter what league you're in, no matter what level you're playing, if you're not ready physically, there's no chance. So those are two things that I've learned from my past career and my move to Greece. So yeah, but supporting players, regarding the question, supporting players no matter what happens is the most important thing, to build also a relationship with the player, so he understands that no matter what happens, he has support from his group.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's quite good answer actually. And last but not least, can you give us, please, your point of view when it comes to these new FIFA regulations, when it comes to the agents and related to agents and the commissions and everything? I more or less asked to each one of my guests about this topic. There are different point of views, but I would like to hear it from you as
No,
well.
of course. Well, I understand why FIFA tried is changing, is trying to change the agency, this industry. Also, from my past, I can say I was a sporting director for 6 years, and I had situations like it was chaotic in the transfer window. I had one player offered to me by like 10 or 11 agents at one transfer window. So it was crazy. Like, everybody was calling and everybody's saying, "Oh, I have this player for you," and that's not serious. And at one point, it's been so crazy that players don't even know that they didn't even know what agent was offering them. From our perspective, at the moment, we don't work without any signed documents. If we have a signed document directly by the player, as an agency, we can work for the player, and that's the rule we have, and that's how we work. So the new regulations for us it hasn't changed a lot. The only thing that has changed, that I had to take a FIFA exam in March, and I just had to pass that one. And the licensing and the registration thing is now, it's not through the federation, it's just going through FIFA. So that's just the one thing that changed. The caps on the agent fees, I think that sooner or later it's going to change. I think it's the 3 and the 5%, that's at the moment it's going to change, because I don't think FIFA understands fully how agencies work, or maybe they're trying to give more power to clubs. And if we were living in an ideal world, I would understand that the clubs wants a player, they want a player, and they say, "Oh, we can give you this contract. This is the highest possible contract," and everybody's.
Yeah.
But this is not reality. So and at certain points, I understand why they did it. It's not perfect, but at the end, the financial transparency and everything, and the education you have to take every year. Sooner or later, that's a good thing, and I think as an agency we also have to develop, and many agencies forgot about this, and then at the end, some things will change for sure. But these regulations generated mixed reactions in the football industry. But more or less, I am sure that this is the good way to go. Just needs some minor things that at the end will have to change.
Fine tuning, let's say.
Yeah, exactly.
Fine tuning. Thank you very much for the answer, and thank you very much for your time, Mariusz.
But
It
thank you.
was a real pleasure speaking to you, and hope you had a great time as well. And have a great day, and speak to you soon.
Thank you, Borisov. Thank you for having me, and take care. Thank you again.